All righty, it's district breakdown time, and we're here with Matt Harris, our Inside High School Sports Insider. We're done with districts, Matt, so we're going to do something a little fun this week. We're going to talk about who you think will make long playoff runs. Going through all the stuff we went through this whole summer, talking about all the teams. You've compiled a list of teams you think might go a little bit far in the playoffs. Who do you got there?
Yeah, in 6A, I think Katy has to be the number one answer. The Tigers return a ton of talent on both sides of the ball after dominating its way to the 6A Division II championship last year. Some of that talent includes quarterback Caleb Koger, who had a nice first year as a starter, running back Seth Davis. And they return a lot of talent on defense, too. Guys like Malik Silla and so on and so forth. There's so many. I'm going to – no matter who I mention or don't mention, somebody's going to be slighted because that's how much talent that they have. Now, to me, the big question here is – to watch how the bottom half of Katy ISD, which comprises all of 19-6A, how does that shake out? Because that'll determine, like last year, if Katy goes Division I or Division II. Obviously, Division II is the easier route. Now, there's a lot of other teams to mention. I'm just going to hit on a few of them. Obviously, Bridgeland was a Trinity State pick last year, but they lost in round 3 to Rockwall Heath. They returned their best player, quarterback Connor Wegman, so there's that. I'm interested in Spring ISD to see who wins the rematch out of Spring and Spring Westfield after a fantastic game last year. The quarterbacks of those teams, Bishop Davenport and Cardell Williams, are both back. So those are two teams to keep an eye on as potentially could make a deep run. And then obviously there's Atascocita. They return Gavin Session. At quarterback, they play in one of the tougher districts along with North Shore in 21-6A. But I think that they've got the weapons and they've got the ammo to potentially make a deep run as well. And those are some of the teams, at least in 6A, that I think could make a deep run. Just to hit on 5A real quick, we're talking about Manville, who returns running backs Ty Harris and DeMonte Seymour. Katy Patel, also in 10-5A Division I, with a really strong defense, most of a defense back. And then Division II, Marshall is always good. Crosby showed us that they belong last season, had a great year. And as a dark horse, I kind of like Montgomery with quarterback Brock Bolfing. But as far as deep playoff runs go, again, there's so much to talk about, but that's kind of what I've come up with.
Right. It's pretty, and I'm putting you on the spot too, because we haven't even taken a snap yet, and I'm asking you who's going to make the playoffs. And I'm going to keep putting you on the spot because now I want to hear who you think, if the cards fall just right, who do you think might be a sleeper team maybe in 6A for the playoff run?
Yeah, I kind of did a bad job there in that first segment, speaking of your follow-up question, because I did mention a lot of the 5A dark horse candidates, teams like Crosby, who loses a lot but got to a state championship last year. Anything can happen. Or Montgomery with Brock Bolfing, or even Pato as a dark horse candidate. But as for 6A, I'm keeping an eye on two districts in terms of dark horse candidates. I think obviously all the favorites I listed in 6A, not all of them will make deep playoff runs. I think they all have the capability to. But when it comes to teams that maybe you don't think about that could make those runs, I'm looking at 15-6A with that district between Tomball Memorial and Klein Kane. Tomball Memorial returns Richard Rodriguez at running back, and Klein Kane has a great duo with Carson Roper at quarterback, Matthew Golden out wide. And I think those are two teams to keep an eye on in terms of they could surprise some people come November and December. And then I'm keeping an eye on 18-6A. Lamar they only lost one district game, but had an off year by their standards because they hadn't lost a district game in 10 years. But they'll look to get back to the top of that district and make a deep run. And to get there, they're going to have to knock off Heights, who dealt Lamar its first district loss in a decade. And they returned Jalen Morrison at quarterback, who I think is an outstanding quarterback, and he's a 3-year starter. So I think he could potentially carry Heights to a deep run as well.
All right, we will talk to you during the year sometime. I'm sure you're going to come on with some information down the stretch, so I appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me on this summer.